Loisada. Basically, it is the Lower East Side in Spanglish, Spanish and English. Cultures put together in one thought, a clash, the result of that clash put together in one thought. Spanglish, Lower East Side, Loisada. Loisada came into my mind. It was in the back of a van, you know? And I said, Chino, I found the name. And I came back to the Lower East Side, and there was the whole parallel between Don Quixote of the 15th century and Chino and I, because we think that we're in love with this community that nobody wants. So there. How could there be decay and there could be growth in the same place? It's because creativity is taking place here. I mean, you know, we are crazy, we are out of our heads, we believe it can be done.
This is a very special, quickly assembled cultural festival in Tompkins Square Park, which was set up by the Seven Lobes Cultural Group and the Loisada organization, cooperating in honor of one of its artists of the community, Sarah Berman Beach. Sarah Beach was a lady who arrived at the rich age of 86 years young. Her picture is right over there. Most of us in the community knew her. Suddenly, unexpectedly, a woman who seemed indestructible passed away just this last October 20th. And it was a grievous blow to this community in which she lived on East 10th Street and Avenue C, and in which she worked, not only as an artist, and you see examples of her work here, but in the community, concerned with the welfare of her neighbors, with the welfare of the Gouverneur Hospital, with the use of the Cristadora House. All of the important issues that concerned the community were her concern too. And she was friends with hundreds of the people here. And the Seven Lobes and the City Arts and the Loisada greet Sarah Berman Beach and the work that she did in this community. Not only as an artist, and you see examples of her work here, but in the community, concerned with the welfare of her neighbors, with the welfare of the Gouverneur Hospital, with the use of the Cristadora House. All of the important issues that concerned the community were her concern too. And she was friends with hundreds of the people here. And the Seven Lobes and the City Arts and the Loisada greet Sarah Berman Beach and the work that she did in this community.
to walk these mean streets with me. The Loisada is sometimes known as the ghetto supermarket, where street hustling is a way of survival, a way of life. But there is also another way of life that deals constructively with the new pioneers of tomorrow. For it is from them that redress another neighborhood will spring.
Explain a little bit about this project. I see you got guys from different organizations here, Quandos and CETA.
Yeah, well, it's a youth training program.
All these guys here are working, they on a salary?
They're all on salary. Everyone here, they're all on, they get paid through the city. The space from the edge of this where we're working to the wall, all right, and then down to where the old playground used to be, where the fence is, all of that is going to be children's play equipment, seating area, and this here is going to be a garden area. What we're doing now is a pathway, okay?
Besides parks,
we got a seal-up crew who will be doing sealing up of abandoned buildings, city-owned abandoned buildings in a certain area, 4th Street, 5th Street, 6th Street area. Then we have the Quando building. We're doing housing repair and maintenance, and where the youth are taking training.
So you're mostly dealing with the youth, kids from the street?
All youth, yeah. Youth 16 to 19 are out of school.
Okay. Off the street like that?
It's not to keep them off the street, it's to train them in certain job skills so that they'll be able to get employment.
A job, un trabajo, a job with all the benefits correlated with the sweat and time invested by myself, a job that don't step on my pride, a job that doesn't shorten my life on earth, that will inspire me to help my bosses their part of the proceeds collect. I need a job today. A job, I need a job to keep my peace with God. A job to make me stop wishing for an early grave. A job, I need a job today. Folks that got a job that does its job, can see some sense in this relate. But folks that lost their faith, that rot away with pain, day after day after day after day, they strike at each other, hoping to find in greater pain a sedative. A man without a job is lost in this labyrinth of hell.
There are many community programs here on the Loisada. This is the building of Charas. Charas is a community organization that inspires others to help themselves by doing more with less.
Chino, were you born here on the Loisada?
I'm from Puerto Rico. I first came to this country, I think it was in 1951, with my parents.
Can you give us a definition of charity?
Well, there is a lot of problems. There's the problem of housing, very bad housing. The housing system in this community is very bad, just like in the South Bronx, Harlem, or in different parts of the city, like in Best Ties, etc. What's happening is housing is one of the biggest problems down here, very bad housing. But that also adds up to a very big percentage of unemployment. And what we are trying to do now is put a lot of concentration of a comprehensive development of the neighborhood.
One damn block belongs to us yet, no, not one damn block.
This is the graveyard of modern progress. No love, no care, no mighty sweet pity. Just these scars of indifference and the destruction of the gardens of our soul, whose weeds of anger will never let us forget that they are not human. The things we have to learn, we learn by doing it, by helping each other break the chains that bind us to such wretchedness. We have learned that we will live collectively or we will die in pieces. And we know this now. We must now rise up from this oppression. Yes, rise so we can live as human beings.
Can you remember when this neighborhood started going down?
Oh no, I think it was built in the late 1800s. Really, a lot of it was torn down and built as a ghetto for immigrating Jews, and it really has been a ghetto ever since. About 1970, the newest group of immigrants who were from Puerto Rico began to leave the neighborhood. So since 1970, there's been about 1/3 of the population has left. So there's been an out-migration from the Lower East Side during the last 7 years, and it's just now that I think you can start to see the bottom of the decline. There are many landlords here that have significant holdings of property. They might own 10, 15. Some landlords own 40 buildings. What they do is that they continue to collect the rent. They don't pay city taxes. Eventually, they don't provide services to the buildings, so they don't provide heat, they don't provide repair services. It's not unusual for a building to have several hundred violations. So the landlords will let these buildings decline. Once the tenants have moved out of the building, which takes 3, 4, 5 years, they then hire arsons to burn them, and then they collect the insurance and they disappear. The other thing is that government support programs, for example, the poverty program, in a neighborhood like this has been taken over by very low elements, in some cases criminal elements, as in the South Bronx and the Lower East Side. The poverty program, which really dispensed in the last 10 years on the Lower East Side over $50 million for a relatively small area, has been completely controlled by really criminal elements. And so the same thing happens in the school system. The school system becomes run by people who are not really dedicated to the education of children. All of your government services, your support systems, are in the hands of people who really don't care about the community. And unfortunately, because you have an immigrant population all the time, people don't become entrenched enough to be able to change the situation. So an area like this is a ghetto at all levels.
A dirty, unclean community is not only a physical condition, but it is a mental condition also. Because anything physical has to start first as a thought before it manifests into a reality. It was on 11th Street that I saw first signs of a struggle to clean up that ghetto. The 11th Street movement, Sweat Equity, and Adopt a Building are making an endeavor to do something about their neighborhoods. They are taking over and renovating buildings long ago abandoned by gouging landlords, making them safe to live in again.
This afternoon, we'll track time. All right, thank you.
That's the main reason I say that we own these buildings.
What is your capital?
Our capital is sweat. That's why we made Sweat Equity happen.
East 12th Street Community Garden was at one time a rubbish-filled plot of land, a dumping space for garbage, and a breeding ground for rats and roaches. Now it's a beautiful garden, and during the summer months, it produced edible vegetables. It was the 11th Street movement that introduced the idea about turning this lot into a garden. They are now negotiating to buy this land from the city of New York. And in the near future, the title and ownership of this land will be turned over to the community board, which is the people's. Today, City Art Workshop donated a mirror to 12th Street Community Garden. City Art Workshop is the community art program. They have brought art out of the studios into the street for the benefit of all. The mirrors they sponsor expresses the culture and opinions of all groups. And in doing so, it increases the sense of identity for both the individual involved and the local community. It shows us that no matter how hard life is, we can make it if we try.
Okay. Thank you. Are those pretty? Yep.
This kind of muscle clean. Look at this.
I know, but that's what he's doing here with boards.
Yeah.
The windmill has given us a new sense of pride because it was the unemployed and unskilled peoples of the neighborhood that put this 37-foot tower into the air. The windmill itself has grown to be a symbol of self-help.
Eddie, what is the function of these collectors?
Well, what happens is the water travels through here and it's heated up through these panel collectors right here. And from there, they will go on the top pipe, which is called the return. And from there, we'll go downstairs and heat the water that's in the basement.
Mm-hmm. Give me a brief rundown on the beginning of this project.
Well, as far as solar's concerned, we built the system to save us money as far as fuel is concerned. We're saving maybe 75% of our hot water through the system right here. We pulled up the windmill because one day Con Ed came and they shut off our electricity. And these panels need electricity to keep pumping the water up and down, or not they'll explode. So we figured we had to make our own electricity also. And there goes Con Ed right there. Right now, there is 3 power companies in New York City. There's Con Ed in Manhattan. There's the Brooklyn Power Company, Brooklyn Union Gas up in Brooklyn. And there's a windmill here on 519 East 11th Street.
That's the windmill. Was approached by Chino to let him know that we were going to buy the building and we were going to buy it by December, by Christmas. And he said, good, let's go ahead with it. Let's work it out. Now the next move was Mr. Rabbit. He's calling him today. He'll get back to us.
Nasario's on top of this?
Nasario's calling him. Nasario's the one that's working out the loan.
That's Rabbit, right?
Yeah.
And everybody knows his number?
Whose number?
Rabbit?
Sure. Giving it some respect.
It has concern in the area and everything.
Okay, so I like to have a verification of that story, okay?
Apart from that, the landlord was approached by Chino to let him know that we were going to buy the building and we were going to buy it by December, by Christmas. And he said, good, let's go ahead with it. Let's work it out. Now the next move was Mr. Rabbit. He's calling him today. He'll get back to us.
Nasario's on top of this?
Nasario's calling him. Nasario's the one that's working out the loan.
That's Rabbit, right?
Yeah.
And everybody knows his number?
Whose number?
Rabbit?
Sure. The second floor is the headquarters of Charas. And the question is, should they be kicked out because of a new landlord? Will they survive this change? There are many fires here on the Lower East Side. Over 5,000 burnt out buildings that resembles a neighborhood that has been at war. Who is to blame for the condition that we have here? Is it the politicians? The system? Overpopulation? Or is it the people? The answer may be as many and various as there are individuals. We burn until there's nothing left to burn except your own wall and the wall of your neighbor. New birth is hope, a desire for the days of yesteryears, when there was no hunger and poverty, and the land was ripe. When war was a word we could not speak, a time when life was in harmony with all life. New birth is the past, the present, and the future. Remembering the new birth of modern technologies and all the destruction that followed. As it sucked at all the nourishment from the land and the blood from the vein, creating a cesspool of disease, pollution, and the smell of death and despair. It is a horrible affair when the source of life experienced to
I loved it. I watch it. Look there. Everything's beautiful. Look at this picture and you can see what's going on in life. But this picture right here, and show why you can make it when you can't make it. You could be a poor, you could be a rich. You look at it. I love that picture. See but they got telephones, they got typewriters, and look at the scrub woman there. And look at the lady washing the tub. And look at the woman selling the 5-cent stuff. It's a very piece of art. You see, you could make it.
Puerto Rican heritage is a mirror of education, the history of the Puerto Rican peoples. In 1493, the ships came to the island of the Brave, bringing with them livestock and the pains of slavery. This mirror speaks of the past, a time that would never be forgotten. And the present of how it is now. The domino games, the vendors of the streets, and that Afro-Latin beat of the congos still convey the same message. Puerto Rico, the Loisada. Puerto Rico lives. Nearly 35% of the Puerto Ricans here in New York City lives at or below the poverty line. Most of them came during the last 30 years. Yes, and they are still coming. Coming to a city that is no longer growing. A city that offers few opportunities to newcomers.
People who sometimes find it needs be necessary to fade ourselves out on synthetically made, organically grown herbs, spices, or drugs. Gently, the rain does fall on our old tin roof, carrying my mind back to the days of my childhood. Breckenridge Street, Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, 17325. On the street where I lived was a row full of houses. Houses too poor to shelter the mouses, with broken down porches and torn down swings, and a little old drunkard who was pulled by the strings. Waiting for the welfare check, small town USA, 1967. I traveled east, I traveled west. I wanted to find the artists who were best. And here they are sitting here. We are Lower East Side sharing. Thank you.
Can the words and the rhythm that makes up our culture survive here on the Lower East Side? Yes, because we have our own way of expressing our historical roots. And the new Eureka Cafe is where it all happens. Check it out. The new Eureka Cafe, Loisada, New York City, USA.
Well, I pray to God in the morning, and I kneel to Jesus in the evening, while I drink my wine to ease my mind, ease my time of grieving. And the children cry, the children die, the mother wails, and the father fails. Lower East Side is taking my life away, and I fight to leave, and I fight to stay. Lower East Side is taking my life away. Not one damn block belongs to us yet, no, not one damn block. Hey! All my needs are around, sun hurry down. All my needs are around, and I'm so tired, Lord. Yes, I'm so tired of this ghetto road, ghetto road, ghetto road, ghetto road.